I've been selling on Poshmark since December of 2017, and it took me roughly 2 weeks to make my first sale. It was actually a pair of my husband's shoes. And ever since then, I have been on the hunt for more tips and tricks on how to sell more on Poshmark. That is what led me to communities on Instagram and YouTube, just filled with people who really knew what they were doing, people who learned through trial and error how to make as many sales as possible on Poshmark. And in today's video, I have brought together so many of those people to share their best Poshmark tips with you, so enjoy. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms, including Poshmark. And in today's video, not only are you going to hear from me, but you're going to hear from 22 other amazing Poshmark sellers. I have linked all of their YouTube channels and Instagram handles down in the description below if they're on both platforms. Some of them are only on Instagram. So first and foremost, a huge thank you to everyone who contributed to this video. And secondly, make sure that you visit my description and go to all of their channels, go to all of their Instagrams, let them know that I sent you, and make sure to follow their content because as you're about to see, they clearly know what they're doing. My hope in creating this video is that it would leave you feeling encouraged and motivated and just overall like more educated when it comes to all things Poshmark related. So as you're watching, let me know down in the comments below which tips really resonated with you. And we're gonna start this video off with a few just kind of overarching tips in regards to running a successful Poshmark business.
Hi everybody, it's Lori from Lori's Boston Found. Thank you so much to Becky for asking me to be a part of this collaboration. One of the things that I always tell people when they're just getting started is to use your own stuff before you go out and buy things to resell. I find that when you're pulling things from your own inventory at home, things you're already kind of ready to let go of, you can make a lot of mistakes and learn a lot about the platform, a lot about trends or what's selling, what's not selling, if you use your own stuff to begin with. I did not start out that way. I got super excited, ran to Savers, and spent a lot more money than I should have. And I think I still have some of those pieces in my inventory to this day from 2018. Besides all the general things that I think are important to do, like looking at your comps, considering whether the stuff that you're picking up is something that people are looking for, including keywords in your title and description, using really nice clean photos in your listing. Besides all that, I think it's really important to be able to roll with the punches. There have been a lot of changes on the platform since I started, and I anticipate there will continue to be more changes. And I think being able to change with the times is really critical in remaining successful as a reseller. Trends will change, platforms will change, fees will change. Things like lives have been introduced to Poshmark, and that has really shaken things up quite a bit. If you are willing to change and roll with the punches, I think you're much more likely to stay engaged and not get too discouraged with what might be happening around you. We can't control the outside elements. All we can control is how we behave in different situations. So I try to stay positive. I try to change with the times, and of course, be consistent. List frequently, share your closet, do all the things that are going to put your items in the best position to be seen by a potential customer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I wish you all the best in your Poshmark adventures. Take care. Mwah.
Hi, my name is Denali, also known as El Ducho here on YouTube. I've been reselling online for 6 years, and I grew my business out of a 100 square foot room in my house to the 2,000 square foot warehouse that we are in today. My best piece of advice for selling on Poshmark is to cherry pick your business. And what do I mean by that? No business is one size fits all, especially when it comes to reselling. We are all small, individual run businesses. And when that's the case, you can't replicate it everywhere in the country. I'm located up here in Washington State, but I know that a reseller in New York, Florida, California, they don't have the same inventory opportunities as me. They don't have the same business expenses that I do. Lots of different circumstances come into play. And so when that's the case, you can't look at another person's business and try and replicate the entire thing. So for me, when I first started out, I really looked at a lot of different people's businesses and found the things that I liked that they did. Maybe I saw that one person shipped items a certain way, and I thought, I'm gonna try that out see if it works for me, and if it does, I'll apply it to my business. I also looked at the way people sourced and the brands that they sourced, and I had to be mindful that, different brands are more plentiful and less plentiful all around the country. So I really tried to look at what was selling well for people located in areas near me. I also looked at where people sourced at. Some people source exclusively from thrift stores, some people do retail arbitrage, some people prefer the Goodwill outlet. I tried it all to figure out what was going to work best for me and then stuck with it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you know what's going to work the best for your business. And so while it may be helpful to go and look at other people's Poshmark closets and see the way that they take photos, build their titles and descriptions, find what you like that they do in their business and apply it to your business. And if there's parts of their business that you don't like, definitely don't do those parts. I can confidently say that 6 years later, I've built a business that I love. And when I look at it closely, I can see all the parts of the business that are me, that I built from my own ideas. And then I can also see other parts of the business where I took other people's great advice or great information that they shared on the internet and applied it to my own business. I hope that you find that helpful, and happy poshing.
Hey y'all, I'm Connor from Connor's Closet, and my biggest tip to being successful on Poshmark is to not be afraid to try new things. This is something that's taken me a really long time to figure out, and especially when you're just starting out on Poshmark, it can be kind of intimidating, all of the information and tips and tricks and business models being thrown at you from every direction. And while I highly encourage you to take advantage of these resources, it's also really important to keep in mind that there's no right or wrong way to resell or to be a reseller. And when you see these big resellers who are successful doing these things and then you apply it to your business, if you don't see success in that, it can be really easy to get caught up in comparison, which can really be kind of detrimental to your business. If I'm being honest, this is something that I got caught up in a lot when I first started 5 years ago, and even today sometimes. So it's really important to, have an open mind and be willing to try new things and try different business models. There's so many different strategies and ways to resell. And again, there's no right or wrong way to resell. The only right way to resell is whatever works for you and for your business, because everyone's business is different. For example, recently, about 6 months ago, I made the decision to spend $3,000 on a 1,000-piece palette of heavily flawed designer items. I was terrified to make that purchase because I'd never sold flawed items before. But I took the plunge, I spent the money, I was terrified, but it ended up being the most profitable purchase that I've ever made in my reselling career. And 5 years ago when I first started, I never would have expected that I would now be basing my whole entire business off of flawed items, but it worked for me. And that just came from trial and error and exploring different options and business models. So, if you keep an open mind, if you are willing and also excited to try new things, I just about guarantee that you'll find success within your Poshmark business.
Hi kids, Heidi here. If you know me, you're wondering, why would Becky ask her to give a Poshmark tip? So I started selling on Poshmark in February of 2018, just over 5 years ago. That was about 4 months after I started selling on eBay. And over time on eBay, as I got better at things and put more work into it, my sales just kept getting better. The more work I put in, the more results I got. Today I have 650 active listings and I sell about 100 to 120 items a month. In January on Poshmark, I sold 2 things. Over this whole 5 years, my Poshmark sales have always been disappointing. No matter how much work I put in, it didn't get better. I would share like crazy and then I would get fed up and I would just stop altogether. We broke up 3 times completely. Poshmark was like a very attractive, very bad for your boyfriend. This is where I was supposed to sing, walk, walk, fashion, baby, walk it. No, you get the idea. I just felt like a company that required me to spend hours clicking on things was a broken company. But over time, I realized I have to pay to play. On Poshmark, paying to play is automating your sharing by a third-party thing you pay for. There's free ones, but I tried them and I didn't like them. So here's the deal. In the first 4 months of this year, in the 4 months since I signed up with Pasha VA, my sales have doubled from last year. So it's June and my sales are double last year. In fact, since February, I have sold the same number of items that I sold in 20, 21, and 22 combined. The same number of items over 3 years I sold in 4 months with Pasha VA. So that's my tip. Automate your sharing. Bye, kids.
So as the next few sellers are going to share in the following tips, you're going to see that the key to finding success in your Poshmark business starts at the beginning with sourcing well. So the next few tips are all about how to source well for your Poshmark business.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Allison from Rebecca Allison on YouTube. So my best Poshmark tip is to start with what you have. It can be really tempting when you're just starting out, or even if you're a seasoned reseller, to go out and buy inventory and to buy things to resell. And sometimes you might not even know what will work really well for you when you're reselling. But if you can start with things that are in your own closet, in your friends' closets, in your family's closet, or even in your kitchen, just things lying around the house that you've had for a long time that you no longer use. If you can start with free inventory, you're going to do yourself a huge favor, and you're going to learn a lot about the process of listing on Poshmark and becoming a reseller, all without putting a ton of money in up front. Often you can go in the beginning to a thrift store and be super overwhelmed and not know what to pick up, and pick up things that are not going to sell for very good money. So it's good to have a learning phase with not a lot of money invested, and then later on you can go out and spend money. But in the beginning, start with what you have.
I definitely agree with Rebecca's tip. This is one that I give to people often as well when they're first starting out. And once you've done that, then definitely graduate to Julie's tip, which she's about to share.
It's me, Julie of Casa Chic, and here's my number one Poshmark sales tip for you. Focus on what you are buying to resell. It is the most basic principle of reselling, and those resellers that source well are the ones who are successful. When I started reselling, I would pick up anything that had a little profit in it, anything I could flip to make money. And the results were I was working a lot, I was selling a lot, and I wasn't making a lot. If you're buying things with $10 profit in it, you think, oh, well, $10 is good. You have to sell 10 of those to make $100. You have to sell 100 things to make $1,000. That is a lot of work. Focus on items with more profit in them. Focus on items that buyers want. Focus on things you can flip quickly. You will make good money. You won't burn out. I work part-time and make a full-time income reselling because I source well. The sourcing is the key, I promise you.
Hi friends, Nikki here, coming to you with my number one Poshmark tip. For years, I have ignored those little Poshmark pop-ups that come up throughout the day. You know, they're saying like, you're so awesome, you can make sales, boost your sales. I do ignore all of those. But I have been paying attention for the last couple of years to the Poshmark parties. I used to totally ignore those, friends. But what I have learned, and I have talked to people that work at Poshmark, is that they actually use their data from sales to create these Poshmark parties to get your attention, to get people in a group to buy. So take a look at the brands that they're recommending at these Poshmark parties. I think they happen at 9, 12, 3, and 7. I'm Pacific time zone. That's when they pop up for me. They're usually recommending brands. They have themes around current events that things are happening. For example, just today at 3 p.m., there was a premium brands party, and it was brands like Levi's, Redone, a lot of Revolve brands. And they actually put in the title, if you click that notification, they put in the title what they're looking for, what you should submit to the parties. Now, the thing is, when you actually look at the items that people share to these parties, sometimes they're relevant to the party recommendations. Sometimes they're not, just people trying to get attention to their listings. But what you really should focus on is looking at what Poshmark puts in the title and description of the party, because those are the things that are currently selling, you guys. So I learned that I started sourcing around some of their recommendations and the brands that they put there. And then I would also go on eBay and check sell-through rates of those items. So that's a whole other tip we could get into. But definitely pay attention to those. I know that they're annoying. I know a lot of us have our Poshmark notifications turned off, but I did leave the notifications turned on for parties. And I just kind of use it as research. And I've noticed that it has helped my sales on Poshmark, because Poshmark is basically telling you, here's what's selling. Here's what people are looking for. Look for these brands. Look for these types of items. And it works, friends. So definitely check it out. Number one tip from me to you. For years, I ignored it. Don't ignore it. Check it out. Let me know how it goes.
Hi everyone, I'm Keegan, the teen reseller, and I just want to start off by saying thank you so much to Becky for organizing and asking me to be a part of this video. So when asked what my best tip is for reselling on Poshmark is to know the area that you are going to be sourcing in. So not all resellers live in the same area. Some of us do live in the same area, but a lot of us are in different areas, and each area sourcing on Poshmark is going to be different. Some areas might be similar, but not all areas are going to be the exact same. So some areas are going to be more expensive at like the thrift stores, buy-sell trade stores, consignment stores, or wherever. And some areas are going to be a lot cheaper. Typically, the more expensive areas are the major cities or large cities, but that's also where you might find more of like the designer brands. That is not always the case, and I have not been to every area that there's a reseller, so it might be different for your area. But that's also why it's important to know your area, know the pricing, know what thrift stores mark up things, know what thrift stores don't mark up things, know what thrift stores get good donations. So where I live, there is about 10 thrift stores that I go to regularly. And I go in there probably at least once a month, but there are a couple that I go to that are closest to me that I probably go to once a week. And those are where I find my better things. However, I have gone up to Chicago, which is about 3 hours north of me. And when I go there, there are so many thrift stores. I probably go to 5 of them, and that's not even probably 5% of them. There are so many there that I can't go to each of them every time. But I try to go to new ones every time to see which one works out the best for me. And some in these areas, some of them might have a lot more designer brands, or if you live in like a Western area, there might be a lot of the more Western wear. So it's very different and very cool to see how each thrift store is different. So recognizing and knowing the differences of your thrift stores is very important.
Hello, Becky Park and friends. My name is Jack Valentine, or Flipped Thrift, from the Jack Valentine Reselling YouTube channel. And my tip for you guys today is to embrace and step out of your comfort zone with other categories on Poshmark. I have always been a women's clothing focused business on Poshmark. What I started with, what I've always specialized in. But as we all know, over the past couple years, Posh has expanded their categories so much. They've added men's, they've added kids, they've added pets. Heck, you can even sell a freaking Apple Watch on Poshmark now. Since they've done that, I have embraced some new categories and sections of my thrift store. I now have found myself looking in the home section. I look at mugs, I look at decor, all that kinds of fun stuff. And not only has it brought more success to my Poshmark, but I feel like it has added some excitement, some newfound thrill to thrifting when I'm out at the thrift store. Obviously, I'm not sick of thrifting in any way, shape, or form, but being able to kind of explore something new and continue to still learn has just made it so much more fun. I would challenge you guys and tell you guys to give some other categories on Posh a try, whether it be that you sell men's and you want to try women's, you sell modern clothing and you want to try vintage, you sell just clothing and want to try home. I say take the dive, give it a shot. Try a few items. If it's not really working out, that's fine, but just give it a shot, because I think that everyone can benefit from having a wider range in their Poshmark of items.
So you've picked up great items. Now what you need to do is get them listed on Poshmark. And the next few tips are pretty friggin' amazing when it comes to how to create the best listings in order for people to find your items on Poshmark.
Hi everyone, hi Becky. Thank you so much for including me in this collaboration. My name is Veronica Mitka. If you don't know me, I'm a part-time reseller. I also have a YouTube channel and I hope you will check it out after this. My number one tip for being successful on Poshmark and really on any other platform is to list, and list some more. I know, it sounds all simple, but yet a lot of us are struggling with listing regularly, but yet whenever I list consistently on Poshmark or any other platform, I see the most increase in activity in my closet or store, and that usually leads to sales. So it's not sexy, it's not super complicated, just list your stuff. If you are running out of stuff to list, relist some of your stale things. And if you don't have anything stale, find something in your house to list. Maybe declutter your closet, your garage, your kid's toy chest. I don't know. Find something to list and list it. And I think that is one of the best ways to just increase activity and be more successful on Poshmark and any other platform. Thanks for including me, Becky. I look forward to seeing everybody else's advice, and bis bald. Tschüss.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Samantha, Thrifty on a Dime, if you are not familiar, and I have an awesome Poshmark tip for you about keywords. Keywords is extremely important to sell an item. I cannot stress enough how many times I have sold an item, went to go look at their username, and noticed that it said guest one day, and then the next day when I go to ship, it changed the username to actual, like the person's name or whatever they choose as their username. This just shows me that I had great keywords. Why? Because that means that they signed up for Poshmark or they bought off of Poshmark by Google or some kind of other search engine that they found my item. For example, I have this purse here. It was Tutillo, I think that's how you pronounce it. New York nylon crossbody handbag purse, vegan. So I could have just added the brand and I could have added just purse, and I don't think it would have sold as easy as it did by utilizing the keywords vegan, crossbody, also Tutillo New York rather than just Tutillo. So I believe those helped the search engine look for my item for that buyer. So for example, the buyer may be looking up a specific brand of shoes or a specific style of shoes. So if you're just adding shoes or you're just adding shirts, you're not saying the brand, you're not saying the style, you're not saying the size. These are all important key words that are super easy to add to your title or description that it's going to pull from the search engine to bring them into your Poshmark closet. So yes, they may not potentially be already signed up with Poshmark, and they may find your item by using your keywords. So definitely make sure you have the proper keywords for the item. One other example is hot trending items or trending shows. Utilize that, such as Wednesday. Whenever Wednesday came out, it was hot. So everybody was goth Wednesday. I utilized the hashtag Wednesday quite a few times and was able to sell some items just off of that and sell it up a little bit higher simply because there's more eyes on your item since you're utilizing a hot trending hashtag or keyword in your title or description. So thank you guys, and I hope this tip helps you in your Poshmark closet as well as journey.
One of my absolute favorite things to use on Poshmark is their drops feature. And a lot of resellers still don't know about this feature. The drops feature on Poshmark is essentially a way to schedule your listings ahead of time so that they'll go live during a certain date and time that you set. So let's say you've got all of this inventory that you want to list and set active, peppered throughout the week, but you only want to take 2 days to actually list it. This is a perfect way to chunk your time together and smash your listing goals in just a couple of days, set them throughout the rest of the week, and be done with it. You can use this function while you are creating a listing in your draft before you hit list. Simply go to the bottom of the page, either on the desktop or your app, wherever you're creating the listing, and instead of available, which is the default function, select drops and then choose your date and time that you want this to be set live. This function can be super beneficial if you are somebody that wants to get ahead of schedule and get your listings done ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about them. I personally love scheduling weeks ahead of time, and it makes my heart happy to know that all of those listings are already done and ready to go. So if you haven't tried it yet, try the drops feature on Poshmark. It is free to use, it is awesome, and it can help you get ahead of schedule.
Hey everyone, it's Riley or Riles Thrifted over on Instagram and Poshmark. And before I start with my tip, I'd like to say thank you, Becky, for inviting me to be part of your collab. And I can't wait to see what everyone else's tips are. I hope there are some creative ones because I need some creative ideas to make more sales. So if you don't know who I am a full-time reseller making my living on Poshmark, selling anything, but primarily women's clothing. So my tip today is about measurements, specifically how I take my measurements. I'm excited to share it because I've never heard anybody on the internet say this is how they do measurements, and I've never shared it on my Instagram or YouTube channel. Let's talk about how I take measurements. First, I provide measurements for pretty much anything. The only things I don't do measurements for are bras and shoes that don't have a heel. Shoes that have a heel, a boot, like shaft height done, heel height done. And I think doing measurements helps with sales. So I've always heard people say they take measurements like after they've done their bulk photographing, they bulk do measurements for everything, or they like measure everything first, or they measure things before they're about to list it. I do my measurements during photographing. So I took a clip, an example for you guys. This is how I do it. I do flat lays, but I have done hanging pictures before and I still do it the same way. I lay my item out. I take my first few pictures of the front and close up of the brand tag and everything. And then before I flip it over to take back pictures, I do measurements. So for the pair of pants I'm doing here, I do the waist measurement and take a picture with my phone. And then I do the rise and take a picture of the rise measurement with my phone. And then I do the inseam and take a picture of the inseam measurement with my phone. I'd say this whole process takes 20 seconds depending on the item. And then those pictures are saved on my phone. And so while I'm listing the item, all I have to do is look at the pictures that I have taken of the item. I think this is a time saver because you're doing it while you're bulk photographing. You're not putting everything in a pile after you photograph and then going back through and writing everything down. Or you're not having to do it beforehand. Literally, you have the item out and you just take a picture. You're not stopping to write something down or type it out on your phone. You just have the picture and you can go and check the photo. Literally, it's in the middle of your photos of what you're photographing. Super easy to reference. I've been doing it this way for years and I swear I have 1,500 items listed in my closet. There's maybe like 10 that I messed up. Like I forgot a measurement or I completely forgot to do measurements. And those items are always the ones that get the measurements questions. I literally got one today where on a shirt I took the length, but not the pit to pit. And someone's like, can you give me the pit to pit measurement? And I never go back and do it. So I really do think measurements help with sales. So one, I think it could help boost your sales. And two, this is my time saving tip. Do it while you're taking pictures, like in the middle. Just take a picture of it. You don't need to write it down. And then when you're listing, you just look at that picture and there's the pit-to-pit measurement. I hope this tip helped you guys out. I'd love to know whether you provide measurements or if you specifically do measurements this way or if you have another way that works for you. So leave a comment on Becky's video telling her and I how you do your measurements or don't. All right, guys, bye.
I just needed to pop on here to say that I do this too. I take pictures of my measurements while I am photographing each item. So you and me, Riley, we are on the same wavelength.
Thank you so much, Becky, for having me on your video of Poshmark tips. I'm still pretty sure this is a big prank, a la Michael Douglas in The Game. There I go again, comparing myself to Michael Douglas. If you don't already know me, my name is Allison. I've been a full-time reseller for about 3 years and I'm from South Texas. I have a Patreon where I teach people how to online source, etc., etc. What I'm here to talk about today, my number one Poshmark tip for people who are trying to get into the paying up game, or maybe you've been in it for a while, but one thing that is just a really easy thing that automatically increases the value of your listing by a lot. You know what I'm going to say. Stock photo! So for resellers, stock photos aren't just there to be on our cover photos and to look pretty. They actually stand for a lot more. You know how sometimes you look up an item and you're like, whoa, there's a billion different retail sites that have this item. They all have different professionally taken stock photos. Why is that information useful to us? Well, all of these online sites,
Net-a-Porter, Farfetch, Matches Fashion, My Teresa, The Outnet, Bloomingdale's, Neiman's, Nordstrom, Shop Up and Revolve,
just to name a few, every one of these online retailers has a team of people making decisions worth millions of dollars in terms of what pieces they are going to purchase to have in their store. So when something you've sourced is being sold or was sold at most of these, half of these, a few of these, is almost always going to have a much greater demand than something that is hard to find online at all. Being able to find a lot of different stock photos of your item is a very excellent indicator in general for an item that is in high demand, comma. Colorful, stylized, brand-centric photos are at minimum very persuasive to a prospective buyer, and at maximum, they can actually increase the amount the buyers are willing to pay for your item. And lastly, that you don't just have to use comps from Poshmark, you can get comps from online retail sites as well, and it's actually very useful information, not only to determine if you should source something in the first place, but also for how much you should price it on Poshmark. Thanks again, Becky, and I'll see you guys on Instagram. Bye-bye. Next person, you're up.
My name is Leslie Tucker, and my username on Poshmark is A Reseller's Passion. Here are a few tips on how to sell handmade on Poshmark. Your handmade items represent your unique brand, so you want to start off with a great photo. Create a title that is unique to the items that you're making. Also use keywords. If the keywords are not available in Poshmark, create your own. Create videos for your listings and your stories to highlight your handmade items. A really unique way to highlight your handmade items in a video would be doing a DIY. A great way to highlight your handmade items would be to start selling through Poshmark's live selling feature. Here are a few benefits of live selling. You're able to establish new followers. To establish new followers, considering hosting 2 shows a week. The more you show up, the more you'll grow on the live selling platform. One of the best ways to grow in the live selling platform would be to host DIY shows. Example of DIY shows would be, if you're a painter, you can paint in real time. If you crochet, you can crochet while you're hosting your show. If you make jewelry, you can be putting together jewelry pieces. If you're going to host a DIY show, make sure you have items available for people to purchase. Don't forget to price your worth.
So one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video for you on Poshmark is that although many parts of Poshmark are extremely straightforward, there is a culture on that platform that doesn't seem to exist on other platforms, and a main component of that culture is offers. The idea of sending and receiving and declining and countering offers, this is not something that is unique to Poshmark, but I feel it the most on Poshmark. And so the next following tips are going to be in regards to offers on Poshmark.
Hey y'all, my name is Mogi Beth. I am a fellow reseller and YouTuber, and I've had a little over 12,000 sales on Poshmark. So this is how I like to think about selling on Poshmark. First, you want to increase the traffic you get to your listings as much as possible, as many eyeballs on your items as you can get. And then you want people to actually click on your listing. You want to increase your click-through rate as much as possible. And then the last thing, once people have clicked and hopefully liked something in your closet, you want people to convert. And that's what my tip focuses on, is how to actually increase your conversion rate, meaning people actually buy the item that you're liking. And the easiest way to do this is to send an offer to liker as soon as possible after they like something in your closet. That's the time when they're actually on the app, they're actually searching for something, and they have an intention to potentially buy something. The easiest way to ensure that you're sending those offers as quickly after someone likes something as possible is through using automation software, which I talk about the ones I like on my channel, but there are so many out there. So if you haven't tried one out yet, I would recommend doing that. And then if you wanted to kick it up a notch, Poshmark has actually shared in the past that sellers who message potential buyers and have a dialogue with them increase their chance of getting a sale. So I wouldn't send a whole paragraph with emojis and stuff like that you copy and paste. I would try to make a little bit of a tailored message, maybe say, hey, this is such a great top for summer. I sent you an offer. Let me know if you have any questions. Something short, sweet, and a little bit personalized. And those 2 items alone should increase your conversion rate substantially. All right, well, I'm actually in the parking lot of a Goodwill. I'm gonna run in, do some thrifting. I'm gonna film myself and put it on YouTube in case you want to check it out. But thank you so much to Becky Park for having me on your channel, and I can't wait to watch the rest of the video and hear about everyone else's tips. All right, thanks so much. Bye.
What's up, resellers? I'm Rebecca the Reseller. Thanks so much, Becky, for letting me crash your channel and your video to share with everybody one of my favorite Poshmark selling tips. So for me, it's all about pricing high and getting in front of the buyer or potential buyer as many times as possible. And the way I do that is with an aggressive and progressive offer to likers strategy. So I typically price on the higher end, but I know that I have an offer to likers strategy that is going to get me in front of a buyer multiple times, and each time it's going to be with a bigger and bigger offer until, you know, I kind of reach my max and my kind of like worst case scenario. So what I do is 5 minutes after an item is liked by a potential buyer, I send out a 20% offer. Then once a week, I send out a 30% offer to the entire closet. Then once a month, I go ahead and send out a 50% offer to the entire closet again. And so each time I'm hitting that customer with a new chance to buy the item. I'm saying, hey, remember you liked this, go ahead and buy now. I've got an even better price for you. And so obviously, as you can imagine, I get tons of sales when I do the 50% offer. But because I price high, I've already kind of accounted for that's my rock bottom. And so I'm still good with the profit I'm making in that scenario. The great thing is, since that's the worst case, every time I get sales on the 30% once a week, and every time I get sales on that 20% on the like, I end up with more and more profit than I had planned on with the 50%. So for me, having an offer to liker strategy that's uniform for your entire closet, that's progressive and aggressive, is probably one of the best tips I have for you these days on Poshmark. I wish you guys lots of sales, happy selling, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Since this video of Poshmark tips is going up on my YouTube channel, I guess I should offer you a tip as well. My tip would be to utilize one of Poshmark's newer features, which is bulk features. Now, I'm going to be sharing more about this in an upcoming video that I'll have on my YouTube channel about more advanced Poshmark tips and tricks. But Poshmark's bulk features allows you to do things like share your closet in bulk, or to send offers to likers in bulk, or drop prices in bulk. But the way that I like to utilize this bulk features often the most is by using it to send messages to buyers in bulk. And you can do this in a variety of ways. I like to do this when I'm feeling very generous and want to send a generous offer to people, especially on bundles. And what I will do when I'm feeling that kind of way is I will send a message to people in bulk, letting them know, hey, this weekend only, I'm going to be offering 50% off of all bundles. So go ahead and throw anything that you're interested in a bundle. Send me an offer that is 50% off of asking price, and I will accept. I love sending these kinds of messages sparingly. If you do it too much, it gets kind of irritating. But I like to send these kinds of messages and typically make a ton of sales doing so. So definitely don't forget to look into all of the different features that Poshmark has created for the seller's benefit. All right, so you've sourced the item, you've photographed and listed the item, and you've made the sale. Maybe it was through an offer, maybe they bought it outright, I don't know, but you made the sale. Now it's time to ship the dang thing, so here are some tips on shipping on Poshmark.
Hey everybody, my name is Amber and my YouTube channel is Amber Resells. My tip is going to be about packaging materials. On Poshmark, everything ships USPS priority mail, and because of that, you can ship everything in free packing materials from USPS. You can go on their website and you can order boxes and mailers for free. They'll get shipped to your house at no charge to you. For example, you can get a box like this that you could ship, for example, jeans in. You can get a padded mailer like this that you could ship, a shirt in. And again, it's all free. Just go to USPS website and you can order the materials and they'll get shipped to your house for free. 2 footnotes to my tip. First of all, you cannot use the Priority Mail Express. So if you see this blue Priority Mail Express, those are not the boxes you want to order. You want to order the red ones that just say Priority Mail on them. Second footnote is that if you have boxes laying around your house, you can use those. So I have this big stack here and I use these for Poshmark and eBay, but then I also have the free supplies on hand. And again, on Poshmark, any of the USPS Priority Mail boxes are good to use for any of your Poshmark sales as long as they are the red and not the Express.
Hey everybody, what's up? First of all, I want to say thank you to BECKYPARK for having me be a part of this video at all. I'm honored. I actually watched a ton of stuff reselling video-wise when I first started, especially on Becky's channel. That's kind of how I discovered it. She was one of the people that I mainly started watching when I was reselling. So thank you, Becky, for giving all this free information. I've learned a lot. One tip for Poshmark that I would like to share with you guys is that if you're newer to Poshmark, you probably don't know this as well, but if you do, it's good to just repeat it because you don't want to make this mistake. The labels on Poshmark, every time you make a sale in an order, if you ship it out, it's a 5-pound limit on the label, even for bundles. So if it's over 5 pounds, let's say it's 10 pounds and you only have the 5-pound label, you have to request a heavier weight label and it's an additional charge to you. And if you don't do that, then you could literally get an email from Poshmark warning you that if you do that again, you can get kicked off the app and not sell on there anymore. It's never happened to me, but I've known people and seen the emails that they've gotten the email when they made that mistake, that if they do it again, they can't sell on the app. So you don't want to make that mistake. So yeah, that's my tip. And I can't wait to watch this video and see everybody else's tips. Thank you guys so much.
I hope you're enjoying this video so far. And if you are, please consider hitting that subscribe button and subscribing to all of the channels of those who have participated. If you feel like you're learning anything, let me know by hitting that like button as well, as I know that there have been a ton of valuable tips shared already. This is also a really great video to share with your friends on Instagram or Facebook, or just anyone who you know is just getting started on Poshmark. So definitely feel free to share this video with others as well. Now that I got that out of the way, listen, while Poshmark is amazing while you're making sales and you're making all of this money, there is always the chance that someone is going to open a case. Perhaps you sent the wrong item on accident, or you missed a flaw and you sent a flawed item that you didn't know the flaw existed, or perhaps an item got lost in the mail. These are all things that have literally happened to me. But Melissa is going to share in the next tip what to do in the event of a case being opened against you.
What? If you're on Poshmark long enough, a buyer eventually will open a case against you. And when that happens, it sucks, but it's part of the business. Here are some tips to get you through it. Firstly, when I read through the case, if I'm feeling any type of way, I don't respond right away. I go have my feelings, and then I come back. And when I do respond, because I don't respond to every single case, some you just don't need to respond. And that's the beauty of Poshmark. It's one of the big perks about Poshmark is that they arbitrate their own cases. And so we don't actually need to have any input. But there are times where I feel my input is absolutely needed. So when I do and I respond to a case, I talk directly to Poshmark and not to the buyer. I state just the facts and then let the chips fall where they may. Because at that point, there's nothing else you can do. In my experience, though, Poshmark has handled most cases pretty fairly. Every once in a while, they get it kind of wrong, in my opinion, but for the most part, they're pretty good about it. So rest assured in that most of the time, because no one's perfect, it's gonna be okay.
Finally, when it comes to running a Poshmark business, I think Lindsay really sums it up nicely. So here is one of the final tips for this video.
Hey everyone, Lindsay Nicole here and ready to share a tip. So actually in July, it's going to be my 3-year reselling anniversary, which is mind-blowing. But after doing some reflection, I think my number one takeaway from my experience so far, or my number one tip that I have for any fellow reseller out there, is to honestly just have fun with the reselling process. Because let's be honest, we all have those tasks that we find boring, and mine is definitely steaming. I know that sounds cheesy, but hear me out. I know personally when I sell items that I have a passion for or I'm truly interested in, my business feels less like a job and more so like something I am truly loving. For example, I truly love this dress and I'm truly excited to sell it. So whether you're sourcing something you love, or maybe you're just making everyday reselling tasks more entertaining by adding in something you enjoy, like trying on and modeling out the clothes that you're selling, or just watching your favorite TV show while listing, I promise you are going to be way more consistent with your business and also more motivated to keep going with those reselling activities. I hope this tip helped you reflect on your own business, and thank you so much to Becky for allowing me to be a voice on your channel. And of course, this video would not be complete without the feature of Mr. Houdini saying goodbye. Bye everybody!
If you feel like we have missed anything in this video in regards to Poshmark tips, please leave them down in the comments below. I have learned so much about selling on Poshmark because of people like you, because viewers leave amazing tips and tricks and resources, and even someone as seasoned as myself can learn so much from your comments. So if you have a tip that we have missed somehow, definitely leave it down in the comments below. Make sure to spend some time reading those comments, responding to those comments, learning from one another. That is one of the best things about Poshmark, in all honesty, is the community that comes with it. So welcome, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!